UCLA Athletics adds another $36 million in debt. A pathway for the Chargers to hire Jim Harbaugh as coach is clearing. And what do the Lakers realistically have as they go into the trade market? Good morning. I'm James. This is your daily dose, sports and snark for the greatest sports city in the world, Los Angeles. This is the faithful Angelenos Morning Report. And it is January 20th, 2024, and I am back in St. Loser, Missouri for another weekend of woe. But the thing that'll always perk up the spirits is the glory that is Los Angeles sports. Do you like being in the know about LA? Well, if you do, click the like button. Click the subscribe button. There's a notification bell. Hit that and let you know when we drop new content. Sharing is caring. Let people know we exist, and by all means, comment. I try to get back to each and every one of you who do. Now, before we go through the news and notes, look at the scoreboard. Darwin Ham has seen enough. Quote, "It's over for excuses," unquote. And he said this after the Lakers dropped below 500 again, losing to Brooklyn last night, 130 to 112. Anthony Davis scored 26 points. LeBron James added 24. Meanwhile, today, welcome home, Jonathan Quick. The New York Rangers are coming to town to play the Kings tonight at 7:30. In addition to that, UCLA is going to be at 12th ranked Arizona at 1, and USC is going to be playing Arizona State at 11 a.m. So, what do you say we get to the news? The move to the Big Ten cannot come soon enough for UCLA. There's just no way around it. The athletic department posted a whopping $36.6 million in a shortfall for the fiscal year 2023. Not only that, UCLA has run a debt of at least $18 million every year for the last 5 years at least. You might remember we started talking about this, say, about a year or so ago when the announced move from USC and UCLA to the Big Ten first took place. And people were like, why? Why would you mess with tradition? And then we found out UCLA was over $100 million in debt. And keep in mind, they whacked away about $60 million of that debt when they settled a lawsuit with Under Armour. Something about the uniforms and God knows what. Who knows? I'm not a lawyer, and I really don't care. But they keep adding on the debt. And it's bananas. Now, don't get me wrong, going to the Big Ten is going to be a lifeline because a new conference will boost media rights payments to at least $65 million per year. That is compared to the $25 million that they get from the Pac-12. If you're wondering, what in the hell is UCLA doing? That's a damn good question. Now, fortunately, the LA Times broke it down and gave us an answer. I can tell you that coaching, paying for the coaches, hint, hint, football, is a massive chunk of the expenditures. Coaching plus administration in the athletic department combined for more than $54 million a year in expenses. Student aid to athletes, by the way, in case you were wondering, that's a little bit less than 17 mil. So, yeah, it's, you hate to go on a show and start sounding like you're trying to be Rush Limbaugh or Sean Hannity or God knows what. Lord knows I don't want to be those dudes, right? But this is where you sit there and you say, nowhere in this article, nowhere in the research, does UCLA ever even consider the possibility of cutting so that the administrators and the coaches aren't all like hang gliding on golden parachutes while the so-called student athlete, if they're lucky, they might get some financial aid. And by the way, I don't suppose this would be an awkward time to mention that basketball coach Mick Cronin wants UCLA to be his last job, right? He told the LA Times, quote, "I love UCLA. Trust me, I'm the coach at freaking UCLA. To Ben Howland and me, we've sat in John Wooden's chair," unquote. Now, I bet he really loves sitting in John Wooden's chair. I also bet he wouldn't accept a pay cut in order to do it either. So forgive me if I do sound like Rush Limbaugh here, because I swear to you, that is not my intent. This is not a political show. But when you overspend that much money, you have to find other ways to try to balance the books, to find money somewhere. Because if you remember, Stanford a couple of years ago, they were tens of millions of dollars in debt. Their solution was to cut a sport or two just straight out of the athletic department. Not important, not major ones, right? Just some of the little ones that nobody bothers to attend. That was met with protests, and Stanford relented. Now, athletic director Martin Jarmond knew this. He knew it. So cutting a sport is off the table at UCLA. He knows this. But then he looks around. Where are you going to get money? Chip Kelly isn't filling the Rose Bowl. The Pac-12 network may as well be showing infomercials to make more money. Nobody has the Pac-12 network. The Big Ten is the way out. And this is why when I saw so many people complaining about UCLA moving to the Big Ten as a sign of greed, no sir, it's a sign of desperation. They've paid way too many people way too much money. This is their way out. It seems that two NFL teams have pulled themselves out of the running to hire Jim Harbaugh. The Raiders are one of them. They removed the interim title from Antonio Pierce's job. Meanwhile, Bill Belichick is getting a second interview lined up with Atlanta. This is according to CBS Sports. Look, if you get more than one interview, let's be real. The job is probably going to Belichick. So those other teams were interested in Harbaugh? Not anymore. Not anymore. Meanwhile, former NFL tight end Jeff King has interviewed to be the Chargers general manager. He's the 8th candidate to interview for the right to replace Tom Telesco. After King's playing career, he rose up in the scouting ranks with Chicago. He eventually wound up working as the co-director of player personnel, which sounds great because he knows how to run a front office front to back. Until you realize it's the Chicago Bears. Pluses and minuses, folks. Pluses and minuses. Jovan Buha, who covers the Lakers for The Athletic, tried to basically break down the options that the Lakers have now that the NBA trade deadline is coming up. He says that it is actually highly likely the Lakers will make a trade, but the magnitude of the trade is not clear. Is it somebody who just strengthens the bench? Or do they actually this time really do go for broke and try to retain a third superstar? Now, the entire Lakers roster, with the exception of a couple of players, is eligible to be traded right now. The exception, one of the exceptions, is Anthony Davis. He will not be eligible to be traded until February 6th. And Jared Vanderbilt can't be traded, period, because of the time when he signed his contract. Now, as for who the Lakers would trade, who they would trade, as opposed to whether or not it's legal for them to trade, Anthony Davis and LeBron James are just straight up untouchable. So no matter what any podcaster says of, gee, wouldn't it be great if the Lakers traded LeBron to, it's not happening. They are untouchable. And by the way, Austin Reeves is about as close to untouchable as it gets, which is interesting because virtually every team that the Lakers call in order to make a trade, the first name out of the opposing GM's mouth is Austin Reeves. Now, players who could move. If the Lakers go big game hunting, the two players that have a big money contract that they could use would be D'Angelo Russell or Rui Hachimura. Here's the problem. Russell and Hachimura do not impress other GMs that much. Again, they want Austin Reeves and a first-round pick. The other name that you will hear bandied about when these trade rumors really start to accelerate, by the way, it's going to be Max Christie. So hopefully that gives you a semblance of an idea of what to expect when all of these crazy names just start being thrown up against the wall to see what sticks. They're not trading LeBron. They're not trading Davis. Teams do not want D'Angelo Russell or Rui Hachimura, and that leaves Austin Reeves and maybe Max Christie. And the Lakers draft picks. Those who have watched our channel on a regular basis know that I normally have a big whiteboard behind me where I listed all the names of rumors, how the scribes say the Dodgers are going to get this guy, that guy, and the other. There's been over 40 names on that list. Well, when I get home, I'm going to be removing both Josh Hader and Robert Stevenson from the list. Hader has signed with the Houston Astros for $95 million. And I realize everybody wanted an elite closer. And I realize everybody would love to stick it to the Astros. $95 million for 3 outs? That's a little nutty, wouldn't you say? And as for Robert Stevenson, he's off the board. He decided to sign with the Angels. Rams general manager Les Snead began his end-of-season press conference not by thanking the fans, not by thanking Sean McVay or thanking the players, but instead he went on an impromptu praising of defensive coordinator Raheem Morris, touting him as a potential head coach in the future. Snead said he was compelled to, quote, because I know he is interviewing for just about every head coaching job in the NFL right now, unquote. Now remember, Morris was the defensive coordinator when the Rams won the Super Bowl, but he's also a former head coach with Tampa Bay and a former interim head coach with Atlanta. Snead said Morris has unique football acumen and is a phenomenal leader. So they are really not fighting they're basically not hiding the ball. They're doing right by Raheem Morris. And kudos to them for doing it, I might add. By the way, the truth has come out. If you watched Sunday's game and you saw that cheap shot on Rams tight end Tyler Higbee, first, Detroit safety Kirby Joseph denied targeting Higbee's knees. Then tape surfaced of Matthew Stafford calling him out on the field as dirty as F, unquote. So in other words, it's not just random jokers like me who thought Kirby Joseph is a dirty player. No. It's the players on the field who called him out. And by the way, among other players, I would have reckoned that would probably include Minnesota tight end TJ Hawkinson, because Kirby Joseph blasted out that guy's knees as well. Go for head hunting or knee hunting. Either way. So now the truth comes out. Joseph, instead of denying it, has decided to keep it real. We're all haters, right? Quote, I'm used to being the villain, he said, unquote. Totally on script with society today, I gotta tell you. You get caught doing something wrong, right? What's the first thing you do when you get caught doing something wrong? You deny everything, much like Kirby Joseph did. And then when people start stacking mountains of evidence so high that Chris Christie could hang glide off the damn thing, then you act like you're being persecuted, that only God can judge you. Take some responsibility, people. Edge rusher Romello Height has entered the transfer portal. He is done at USC. Now, this is the second time that he has entered the transfer portal. He came to USC from Auburn in the first place. Height was supposed to be one of the linchpins of a rebuilt USC defense in the first year that Lincoln Riley was there. Height got injured. He blasted out his shoulder. He only came off the bench last year. Angel City FC has signed Casey Fair, who is the youngest player to appear in a World Cup match. She played for South Korea. She's of mixed ethnicity. And by the way, when I say that Miss Fair is the youngest to appear at a World Cup, I'm saying she's jailbait, fellas. Cool your jets. I know girls who play soccer, women who play soccer, can be very attractive. Except for Megan Rapinoe. But they can be very attractive. But just keep in mind, Casey Fair is 16. Cool your jets. Now she's signed to play with Angel City through 2026. She's probably going to wind up being a striker. I just don't know if she starts because, again, at that age, you're a developmental prospect when you're an athlete. But you let me know what you think in the comments thread. Tell me what blows your mind about USC athletics. Are they even getting the bang for their buck, for Pete's sakes? Tell me if you believe that now Jim Harbaugh could be a fait accompli for the Bolts, or what the Lakers could do in the trade market. And if you enjoyed the content, don't forget to subscribe to Faithful Angelenos. We're talking LA sports every single day here. Thank you for watching. I'm James. I'm going to go get some sleep. We'll be back tomorrow. Faithful Angelenos is a Kian Corte El Queso production. Take care.